Hi, it's Louise at Spiral Bright Insight. It is February the 14th, Valentine's Day. So happy Valentine's Day to everybody. And I just wanted to do a quick energy update because there are a couple of transits, both in astrology and the gene keys, that feel really significant. So as some of you know, it was my birthday yesterday. So thank you to everybody who took the time to send me messages and to comment on my Instagram and Facebook posts wishing me a happy solar return. Today we have Mercury moving into the sign of Pisces. So that is the first thing of note. Now, I personally have natal Mercury in Pisces. So this is an energy that I am very familiar with. When Mercury, the messenger, which relates to our mind, our understanding, the way we communicate, the way we receive information, moves into Pisces, this really enhances our psychic and our spiritual side and aspects. So if you are sensitive, then you are going to be feeling this transit quite significantly. But really, this is a collective transit. So this is for all of us. We are going to be feeling a lot more in tune with things that we can't necessarily make sense with or make sense of. So in tune with other realms, other dimensions, information or sort of insight that perhaps, you know, doesn't really make sense when we try to analyze it or process it in the normal way. So this is about very much trusting and having faith in what you are receiving, what you're connecting to, what you are feeling into is actually significant and important. So yeah, very enhanced intuition or time of intuition, certainly. Also, Pisces is a very creative sign. So this is a time when we're going to be feeling more creative, more artistic, having much more imagination, also really strong visionary sort of skills and abilities. And I'm reminded here that it's really important to make sure that if you are setting an intention for something, if you are doing sort of vision board work or creating sort of, focusing on what it is that you want to bring in, that you are really specific about what you are focusing on and what you are visioning, because our manifestation abilities are a lot stronger and a lot more effective than perhaps we give them credit for. So make sure if you are working on vision boards or thinking about what it is that you want to bring in, invite in and create, then you are really, really specific. So with Mercury in Pisces, you know, there can be confusion. So it might be harder to really discern what is real and what is not because the lines are blurred. Pisces, you know, we've been talking about Pisces a lot. It's the final sign of the zodiac. It is where we step beyond the linear time, the linear experience, into almost the void, that expanse, that energy of all that is. This is about having a higher faith, surrendering perhaps to information and to understanding that, again, isn't necessarily going to make sense, but you just know that there is a truth coming through. It also is going to make us feel more sensitive, more emotional, because Pisces is a water sign, but it's going to help us connect to our feelings in perhaps a way that we don't always or not always able to. You know, if you are prone to daydreaming, it's likely that this transit is going to enhance that, you know, but that is actually not necessarily a bad thing, because often that's when we get so much insight and sort of intuitive hits and downloads, when we are able to disconnect from the real world and sort of step out into that beautiful, dreamy, imaginative place. So Mercury is going to move through all of Pisces. Mercury will meet Saturn, then the North Node, and then Neptune before moving into Aries. And Mercury will get to 9 degrees of Aries and then turn retrograde. So Mercury is going to spend extra time in Pisces over his next sort of forthcoming transit. So that is something to be mindful of. And of course, Mercury in Pisces also really helps us to see that we are all connected, that there is no division and separation, that we are a unified field. and that there is something that holds us all together, that connects us, that links us all together. So that can really help us with feeling more compassion for the other, for humanity. It's a really, really beautiful transit to be working with. But what is really sort of the other thing that I really wanted to talk about is the gene key, because we are now as of yesterday, we are working with gene key 30. Now, because I had my solar return yesterday, that means that gene key 30 is a really strong energy in my own gene key blueprint, or my gene key chart. So I feel that this is an energy that I am quite qualified to talk about, along with Mercury and Pisces, because that is also in my natal chart. So gene key 30 is a really interesting energy, because when we are working with the gene key 30, we are working with the shadow of desire. The gift that comes through this gene key is lightness, and the city is rapture. Now, I think if you've been following me for a while, I always find it a lot easier to talk about the shadow and possibly the gift, never really the rapture. So that is kind of what I'm going to focus on today. But it feels really significant because I've just received an inquiry from a client who's sort of, saying, I want to know about my soul purpose. I want to know about, what it is that I'm here to do. And I can just relate so strongly with that feeling of, I know there's something important I'm here to do, but I just can't connect with it. What is it? What is it? And I think that comes through very strongly when you are working with gene key 30. And of course, over the next 6 days, this is a collective transit. So this is something that we are all working with. But if you have gene key 30 in your own chart, you're going to be much more familiar with this energy, perhaps, and it is going to be stronger for you. But when we're working with the shadow of desire, this really creates, this inner feeling that nothing you have, or nothing that you do, or nothing that you are is ever enough. It is that sort of sense of dissatisfaction, lack of fulfillment, that emptiness inside that you are always trying to fill because it is so strong. It creates this hunger to experience everything, to be more, to know more. But that feeling, because it's so strong, we kind of have this understanding, or this sense that we are looking for something outside of ourselves in order to fill that gap, in order to kind of get that validation that we feel is so lacking. And it reminds me very much of the energy of the Super Galactic Centre in terms of galactic astrology. And I have the Super Galactic Centre conjunct my natal Pluto. So again, with gene key 30 and my sun, and Super Galactic Centre and my Pluto, this is something that I have worked with, lived with, and perhaps almost battled with for pretty much all of my life. So again, I do feel really qualified to talk about it. But it kind of creates this, when we have desire and we're working with the shadow of desire, there is a longing to just do more, be more, know more, have more. It creates a restlessness, a feeling that, nothing is ever enough. And it almost moves you away from being able to appreciate what you do have. And that is actually the key, because the shadow of desire creates, it is a shadow, so it is something that is designed to be looked at, to be integrated. But when you're working with the shadow of desire, it is almost like a distraction, because it is so strong and it's so noisy and it's so prevalent that you are drawn to focus on that. And that distracts you from focusing on what is actually in the present moment, and what you do actually have, and what you are actually in terms of who you are, your being, your core essence. It can create confusion, of course, because that void, that sense of emptiness is really overwhelming. And I think if anyone sort of is resonating with what I'm talking about and has felt that feeling, then you're going to know exactly what I mean. But, it creates this sense of dissatisfaction, which actually only serves to fuel more desire, more lack, always looking for something that you feel you just don't have. And often you don't actually know what that is, which creates even more confusion and even more dissatisfaction. And so it's like a sort of, ongoing cycle, a self-fulfilling prophecy, if you like. But I was listening to Richard Rudd talk about this gene key this morning, and he's always so eloquent about it. And he was talking about, with the shadow, and I've been working with the shadow a lot over the last year. My sort of understanding is that with shadow, it is about bringing it in. So it is about sitting with those feelings of discomfort, of lack, of dissatisfaction, lack of fulfillment, whatever it is, and bringing those in so that they no longer feel so loud, so pressing, so noisy. And it is actually about being able to see that your desire for something is not actually a fault or something wrong or something missing. It is about releasing judgment of that, of really sitting with it and thinking, okay, this is how I feel, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's not something that I have to fix. It's not something that I have to necessarily change, but often it is about just shifting that perception just ever so slightly in order to be able to see that shadow is a distraction. And when you start to think about what it is that you have and who you are and what you are, as opposed to what you're not and what you don't have and what you feel that you're not, then you can start to work with the gift. And that is where the gift of lightness comes in. Because this is about seeing that it is all a distraction, seeing that it is all a game, and that actually it is just a tool or a path to realizing that where you are and what you are and who you are is absolutely perfect in this now moment, and that there is nothing that needs to change. There is nothing that needs to shift. There is nothing that needs to be more or do more, know more, have more, because what you are, what you have, what you are is absolutely whole in this present moment. And as you start to step into that and surrender to that and to integrate it and realize it as a truth and welcome it in, that is where the freedom comes, because you realize that everything actually can be really simple. You don't need to make it complicated. You don't need to add more layers, because where you are and who you are and what you are in this moment right now is absolutely enough. And of course, I'm talking about this moment, this present moment, this right now moment, because there is no other moment. This is about stepping into the present and really accepting the truth that where you are right now is perfect, and it's exactly where you're meant to be, and there is nothing more that you need to seek beyond or outside of yourselves. And when you start to realize that, that really fuels that inner sense of completeness and wholeness, which is ultimately what we are all really seeking. And just to bring it back to the whole theme of love on Valentine's Day, for me, self-love is absolutely critical. It's one of the things that we as humans find the hardest to work with, because we will always find fault with ourselves. We will always see ourselves as incomplete or lacking. But it is about almost acknowledging that it's all right to feel like that. But actually, and as we do acknowledge that, and we start to think, there is no judgment. We can release that. We can let go of that. We can come in to really connect with who we are right now and see the perfection in that. And when we start to do that, and it may sound harder, or it may seem easier, or I don't know what the expression is, but easier said than done. That's where I'm trying to get to. But actually, it is about just coming into that present moment and thinking, okay, this is what I am, this is who I am now, and that's enough. That is enough. And then in the next moment, come into that present moment. This is who I am, this is where I am right now, and that is enough. And as you start to really bring that in, you will realize that this whole kind of shadow of desire isn't real. It's just a distraction to almost pull you so far away from yourself that you have no option or no other pathway other than to come back to the self. And that, for me, is how the Super Galactic Centre energy works as well in galactic astrology. It stretches us so far out, always seeking, always yearning, always longing, so that we have to really realize and come to that understanding, that recognition that what we are looking for is actually inside and within us, and always was and always has been and always will be. So it is about, you know, releasing the fear of making a mistake, of not being enough, of not being on the right path, of missing what it is that you came here to do, of missing your purpose, of not living your purpose, not walking your purpose. And just going, actually, where I am right now is my purpose, because how could it be anything other than that? You know, I am a divine being. I'm completely sort of, you know, guided at all times. There is no mistake. There is, you know, I can't step off or fall off my path, even if I don't feel that I know what it is. It is just about being in that present moment and loving that, and just going, actually, this is enough. You know, if you feel angst, if you feel anxiety, if you feel confusion, then almost just sort of saying, actually, that's okay. I'm okay. I'm happy with the confusion. I'm happy to sit with the angst and that suffering and that feeling of lack and that feeling of, you know, desire, wanting more. I release judgment of myself for feeling like that. And again, that is almost also part of the shadow work of bringing that in, because once we release our attachment to that, we can start to step into that feeling of lightness and that equanimity and the peace that comes with that. Siddhi is rapture. Now, I feel this is a state that I have yet to master, but, you know, this is about being in bliss. This is about a sort of joy, wonder, inner passion, where you just know that, you know, there is no more longing to be. You just are. You can release that sense of overwhelm, that sense of lack, that sense of confusion, that sense of distraction, because everything is just perfect. And that is ultimately where we are trying to get to in terms of our ascension and our evolution, that joy and simplicity, that joy of the present moment, you know, which again, you know, is something that, if I'm honest, I am still yet to master, but as it is part of my life's work with a 30.1 gene key placement, this is absolutely something that I am here to attain. Although, you know, even saying that suggests that I'm not there yet and therefore something is lacking, and I don't actually feel that that is the case. But as I said, the siddhis are often quite difficult for me to talk about because I feel that that is the evolved human, and, you know, as we grow in consciousness, that is where we are aiming to get to, which almost totally contradicts everything that I've been saying in the video. And I am aware of that, but I'm just going to be okay with that and just say that's how it is for now. So I hope you have sort of been able to resonate with that. And, you know, this is something that we are all working with over the coming days. So you may find that it comes up in certain ways. And again, you know, feel free to share in the comments if you are working with these themes in any way, or if you have Gene Key 30 in your profile. And just a reminder, you know, I know everybody who follows me on a regular basis is already aware of this, but I do offer readings. So please, if you are feeling drawn to work with me and you want me to explore your chart to bring through insight, whether that's galactic or traditional astrology, then my readings are available. They're listed on my website, spiralbright.co.uk. And also for those who have asked about my online course and my teaching tools that I have mentioned a couple of times, I am very much planning to create a course which will walk you through how to interpret your galactic chart. It's absolutely something that is on my radar. Well, it's not even on my radar. It is in my plan. I'm hoping that the end of April is going to be a time when I can do that, because Jupiter is going to move over my midheaven at that time. So Jupiter in Gemini. So that feels like a really perfectly aligned time to launch a course, but obviously I have to write it. But I have in the meantime started working with a couple of people on a one-to-one basis. students who are on the Galactic Astrology course perhaps, or who are learning astrology and feel they need a little bit of support, guidance, input at a sort of personal level in terms of where they are at. So if that is something that is sort of like, oh, that sounds interesting, then I am available to offer one-to-one Zoom sessions. They are completely tailored to where you are, what you need. So you just need to tell me, you know, what it is that you're struggling with or what you want a little bit more input with. And obviously, you know, if I can, then I'm more than happy to offer that. So feel free to reach out to me if that is speaking to you as well, because I just love doing it. I love being able to share kind of what I've learned and to, you know, help other people sort of bring that into their understanding in a more concrete, solidified way, if that makes sense. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Happy Valentine's Day, happy weekend, and sending lots of love. And I'll be back soon. I've got some really cool videos coming up that I'm hoping you're going to really love. So thank you as always for your support, and I'll see you soon.